Welcome to The Silent Truth, where every story reminds us that karma doesn't miss anyone. Sit back, listen closely, and let this story open your heart and mind. It all started on a bright Saturday afternoon, the kind of day that feels like a blessing. My daughter, Emily, was getting married. She looked radiant in her white gown, glowing with the joy only love can bring. As her mother, my heart swelled with pride. I had raised her alone after losing my husband years ago, working 2 jobs, building my own business from scratch. Seeing her walk down that aisle felt like every struggle had finally been worth it. But little did I know that beautiful day would turn into one of the most humiliating moments of my life. Emily's husband, Thomas, came from a wealthy family. His parents owned real estate, luxury cars, and believed that money determined a person's worth. I had never met them before that day, but Emily assured me they were a little traditional. I didn't think much of it. I just wanted my daughter to be happy. When I arrived at the grand hotel where the wedding was being held, I could feel the weight of the stairs. The women wore glittering dresses, dripping with jewelry. The men spoke in sharp, polished voices, laughing in that way only people with power do. I wore a simple cream-colored dress I had sewn myself, a quiet piece of pride, but apparently not quiet enough. As I walked toward Emily and Thomas, his mother, Lorraine, gave me a look that could cut glass. Her lips curved into a cold smile. "Oh, you must be Emily's mother," she said. "We were wondering where you were. The staff entrance is over there, dear." I froze. Staff entrance. My cheeks burned, but I managed a polite smile. "I'm not staff, Mrs. Carlton. I'm Emily's mother." Lorraine's eyes flickered with surprise for half a second before she laughed. "Oh, how quaint. I suppose you prefer simple living." Before I could respond, Thomas appeared beside her, looking dashing in his tuxedo. He wrapped an arm around Emily and looked at me. For a moment, I thought I saw kindness, but then he said something that would echo in my heart for days. "Everyone," he said loudly, "meet the woman who raised my beautiful bride, the one we'll all have to live with now." He smirked, then added, "The ugly rat who somehow got invited to this wedding." The laughter that followed pierced through the music, through my chest, through my soul. Even Emily stood frozen, her lips parting, unsure what to say. I felt my heart shatter into pieces. I wanted to disappear, but I didn't. I stood there, forcing a small, painful smile. "It's all right," I said quietly. "I wish you both happiness." I walked away from the crowd, pretending to look at the flowers. The humiliation stung like 1,000 needles, but as the night went on, I realized something very important. Thomas didn't know who I was. He saw a plain woman in a modest dress and assumed I was beneath him. He didn't know that the catering company serving their food that evening belonged to me. He didn't know that the luxury event management firm his family used for every business gala was under my control. And he definitely didn't know that the biggest real estate firm supplying materials for his father's new project was one of my biggest clients. Yes, I was simple in appearance, but behind that simplicity stood years of grit, business acumen, and quiet success. I had built my empire from the ground up, staying silent, watching people underestimate me again and again. That night, I decided I wouldn't say a word, but I would let life speak for me. 3 days after the wedding, Thomas and Emily returned from their honeymoon. They were supposed to move into a new luxury condo, one that Thomas's family had been boasting about for months. But when they arrived, the building manager informed them there was a delay. Construction had halted indefinitely because their supplier had pulled out due to corporate restructuring. That supplier was me. Thomas's father, Richard, called meeting after meeting, furious and desperate. He tried reaching out to the supplier's CEO, without knowing he'd been dining with her at the wedding. When my assistant forwarded his call to me, I waited, took a deep breath, and answered. "Hello, Mr. Carlton," I said evenly. He paused. "Who is this?" "This is Margaret Lewis, owner of ML Industries. We handle your material contracts." "Ah, Mrs. Lewis, yes. Thank you for taking the call. We seem to be having a problem with our recent order." "Oh, yes," I said gently. "I've been meaning to discuss that. Unfortunately, due to certain moral incompatibilities, we'll no longer be conducting business with your firm." "Moral incompatibilities?" he repeated, shocked. "What are you talking about?" I smiled, even though he couldn't see it. "Let's just say your family's treatment of certain individuals reflects poorly on our values. You might recall our last encounter at your son's wedding. The line went silent. Wait, he stammered. "That was you, you're Emily's." "Yes," I said softly, "the so-called ugly rat." The silence deepened, heavy and sharp. I could almost hear his heartbeat through the phone. "Mrs. Lewis, please. That was a misunderstanding." "I'm sure it was," I said calmly. "But business is about trust and respect. Unfortunately, your son made sure neither exists between us anymore." And with that, I ended the call. Within days, other companies began to pull away from the Carlton's firm. Word spreads fast in business, especially when powerful partners suddenly go quiet. By the following Monday, their project had collapsed, investors had withdrawn, and the family that once looked down on others found themselves drowning in financial ruin. Emily called me that night, crying, "Mom, Thomas is panicking. His parents are losing everything. What happened?" I hesitated. "Emily, do you love him?" "I thought I did," she whispered. "But now I see who he really is. He told me he married me because he thought I'd be easy to control, because I wasn't from a rich family." I closed my eyes, feeling the ache of every mother who's ever wanted to protect her child. "Then you know what to do, sweetheart." 2 weeks later, Emily came to my home, alone. She had left Thomas after discovering more lies, debts, and affairs he had hidden. She hugged me tightly, crying into my shoulder. "I'm sorry, Mom. I should have seen it sooner." I kissed her hair. "Don't be sorry, darling. You learned what money can't buy: respect, love, and truth." Months passed. The Carltons sold their cars, their mansion, and their pride. Meanwhile, Emily started working with me, learning everything about the business I had built. She turned out to be as sharp and determined as I was. One afternoon, while we were reviewing contracts, my assistant entered. "Ma'am, Mr. Thomas Carlton is here. He's requesting a meeting." Emily froze. "He's here?" "Yes," I said, glancing at her. "Would you like to see him?" She nodded slowly. When Thomas walked into my office, he looked nothing like the arrogant groom from that wedding day. His expensive suit was gone, replaced by a wrinkled shirt. His confidence had vanished, replaced by guilt and desperation. "Mrs. Lewis," he said quietly, I came to apologize. I didn't know who you were. I was stupid. I thought I was better than you." I studied him for a long moment. "You don't need to apologize to me," I said softly. "You should apologize to Emily." He turned toward her, eyes pleading. "Emily, I was wrong. I lost everything. Please, can we start over?" Emily looked at him calmly. "You didn't lose everything because of me, Thomas. You lost it because of how you treated people." He lowered his head, tears filling his eyes. "I know. I just don't know how to fix it." I leaned forward. "Start by remembering this, Thomas. The person you mock today might be the one holding your future tomorrow." He nodded slowly, then left. That was the last time we saw him. Years passed, and life moved on beautifully. Emily grew into her role, running part of the company with grace and strength. She eventually remarried a kind, humble man who treated her like gold. And as I watched her walk down the aisle again, this time in a small garden surrounded by people who loved her, I felt peace. Because I realized something: karma doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers, quietly, patiently, until the right moment arrives, and when it does, it speaks louder than any insult ever could.